All right, so all you gotta do when you nail a box on, remember what I showed you. You just put it on like so. We'll put it at the bottom here. Son of a... All right, guys, welcome back to my channel. Today, we are gonna go and we're gonna wire 3 ways from the panel to mounting our boxes to putting in the switches to control light. Stick around, guys, if you wanna see how easy this can be. All right, so first off, I wanna say a couple things. We need to make sure that we understand that this panel is completely dead. Now, you should never work in a hot panel. I'm gonna give you some advice before we start actually doing this. This panel is dead. There's nothing hot about it. If that light was on above, there's heat here. These are my trainers. So there's no power in here. It's completely locked out. Everything is dead, plus my breaker's off. So having said all that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna learn together. This is gonna be a lengthy video. So there'll be timestamps down below. If you wanna follow along with that, you can. I'm gonna tell you how to literally nail the box on, how to run the wire. We're gonna talk about the conductors, the wire, where to put them on the breaker. It's gonna be a very lengthy video, but it'll be a very rewarding one. So you guys don't ever have to contact a electrician if you want to do this yourself. Now, I don't recommend doing this live. If you are in your house and you're going to do this, make sure that your panel's off. It only takes a few seconds to turn it off and be safe, all right? So keep that in mind. Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to start out with the boxes. I'm going to put these probably at 48 inches to the bottom. That's usually where I put them. I'm going to talk to you about how to nail these on if you're putting on a stud. Now, if you're cutting into a drywall, that's a whole different ballgame. Obviously, there's no drywall here. This is only nail-on boxes. So let's talk about the nail-on boxes. All right, so this is a typical box that you get from Home Depot, Lowe's, and I will link anything down below to anything that I'm using so you can see. And if you buy from my channel or my links, it will potentially help my channel grow, and all the money goes right back to this channel. So let's talk about these boxes first. This is a nail-on box. This is a single gang nail-on box. Single because you can only put one device in here. Now, I'm going to use this term loosely, but this is the only thing you can call notches. We always just call them tits. These right here on the boxes, right here, if you see right here where my finger is, how this raised part right there at the bottom, how that raised part is, that sets, when you put it on, I'm going to show you, so don't freak out yet. When you put it on the 2x4, that 2x4 butts right up against there. That leaves the correct amount out if you're putting 1/2-inch sheetrock in here. Now, if you're not using 1/2-inch sheetrock, that's a whole different ballgame, but most people do. You can use 1/4 inch, but we're going to assume, you know what happens when you assume, that every box we put on will be 1/2-inch drywall. So, having said that, we're going to get our tape measure. We're going to measure up 48 inches. We're going to mark on the stud. We'll put the first one on, and I'll show you how to use these tits, lack of a better term, correctly and where to put them at. I already have the marks here at 48, so I'm going to leave them. I was making sure that they were before, because this obviously has been used. You can probably see all the holes in these woods. Maybe not. What we're going to do is we're going to put our boxes here. Like I said, I'm going to come in. I'm going to bring the camera in a little closer. I'm going to show you how to put that box on so you can see. Now, I may have to move over a different stud because I can't get the camera in that angle, but I will show you probably over here what it looks like when you put the box on correctly, and then we'll nail them back on here. All right, so once again, like I said, here is your notches, your tits, whatever you want to call them. What you'll do is you'll put the box up against your 2x4 and you'll push it all the way until it sticks out this far. Now that, if you were to measure it, it would be perfect for a piece of 1/2-inch drywall. Your box will be set just perfect, and then you'll nail it in. I'm going to do that over here, but I just wanted you to see what you do. Now, a lot of people I see put the boxes like this, so it's flush with the 2x4, and that is not good because you're going to have the drywall up against here, and then you're going to have way too much per code. We're not going down the code, but you'll have too much area between your box and your device, and then you're going to cause problems. You have to use an Arlington sleeve. We're not going down that road right now. We will, but not right now. So you want to make sure that you put your box up against the wood and slide it back until it's up against there, and you're nail it in. I'm gonna go ahead and nail these in off camera because we don't really need to see that. We just know that when I get it in there, That's what it's going to look like. All right, let's talk a little bit about three-ways before we even begin really wiring or pulling anything. So now I got the boxes up here. Now, you can do whatever height you want. I did these at 48 to the bottom. That way, they're correctly, at least in my own opinion, where they need to be. Now, with a three-way, here's the deal. This is the important part of a three-way. Now, a three-way is to switch like at two different spots in a room. So you have a switch over here when you come in a room and a switch on the other side of the room. And then it looks exactly like this right here. So coming into my classroom, I want to be able to turn the light on here so I can see to get in, right? But let's say I'm going to go out this door over here. So I'm going to walk all the way over here because I came in that door, but I want to go out this door. So then I would go out this door and I would turn these lights off. That way, I don't have to walk all the way back across the room just to turn the lights off. I can do it from either spot. Now, if I come back in this way, turn the lights on, walk back over here, obviously, right? Get all the way over here to this switch over here. And see you later. Obvious reasons you would have a three-way, right? Two different spots in a room. Now, there is a different route if you had three doors, but right now, we are only focused on three-ways. So do you see what I'm trying to say? If you don't, I'm going to tell you. You need two spots for a three-way to work. So in other words, you have to have a three-way over here and a three-way over here. You can't have one three-way working the switch. Now, yes, you're probably saying, oh yes you can, and you're right, but not for a three-way situation like I just showed you. So we are not diving down any rabbit holes yet, getting the basics out of the way. Then we'll talk about four-ways. Then we'll talk about using a three-way later as a single pole, because you can. But right now we're worrying about three-ways. So, not going to go down any rabbit holes yet. But you need two three-ways to make a three-way situation work. No more, no less. Two is the magic number. You can't have three-ways. It's only two. That's it. One, two. One door, two door. That's it. You can't have any more. Can't have any less. So if we look at a three-way, here's a couple determining factors. It is not the only determining factor. But if you look on the switch, there is no off and there's no on. Like there is on a single pole switch, which looks like this. Off and on. There's none of that on here. Now, don't let that be the only determining factor because there's other switches that don't have the terminology on there. But just a quick glance, you would know that you either have a three-way or four-way just looking at it quickly. So you know it's not a single pole switch. So if you're ever somewhere, this is a little tip. If you're ever somewhere and somebody says, well, this switch ain't working, you know, it always worked, blah, 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 you know, it's a single pole, and you don't see any writing on it, it's either one or two things. It's either a three-way or it's a four-way. So keep that in mind. Now, there's a lot of stuff on the back of these switches. Right here, and this is a very bad switch because it's been used, but right there, it does say common. Now, that screw on a three-way, it's on every single three-way. It's a discolored screw. So it's not a very vibrant colored screw. And then it looks like this color. This is a bad one. I'm going to get a brand new one and show you what it looks like. So if you look on the side of this switch, right, this is a three-way, see? Three-way, no writing on it. But if you look on this switch right here, this one right here is a different color than the other ones. That will always say common. Now, not so much on this one. I don't know why. I guess because if you're buying this brand, I guess you're just supposed to know. But I'm telling you, if you have a three-way like this, you can see it's gold, gold, and then a discolored screw. Same with these. It's hard to see because they all look, these are been used so repeatedly. But if you forget, you can always look on the back and it does say common. These two top ones are your travelers. Now, so what does that mean? Here's what I teach repeatedly. You bring your hot in. So when I say bring your hot in, this is the in part. You're bringing your hot in from this panel to your first box. So it's coming from your panel to your first box. That's bringing your power in because you're bringing it from the panel. Okay, we'll stop right there. That will go on your common screw. The hot part of that, and we're going to, step by step, we're going to go over this. But your hot goes on your common screw. And when we get to this point, when we put the wire in, we're going to talk about it. But for now, your hot goes there. So you bring your 14.2 in. That's what we're going to use. We're going to use 14.2. We're going to bring 14.2 in, down through here to this first box. Then we're going to take a 14.3, because you need the travelers, which is these two up here. That's where your travelers are. So when you switch this up or down, it sends power back on those other wires to this box over here. So you have a 14.3 from here to here. And then a 14.2 to your light. Now, all this will make sense when we go down this road, but a three-way does one of two things, that's it. It either brings the power in, or it sends it out. And when I say it sends it out, it's sending the power out to your light, or to a receptacle, or whatever you're trying to switch. So a job for a three-way is one of two things. Bring the power in, send the power out. Bring the power in, send the power out. Bring the power in, send the power out. That's it. That's the only job a three-way does. Super easy. Keep that in mind. Always think, bring the power in, send the power out. You can't go wrong. The common screw is what does all of that. The common screw is always the discolored screw. So it's going to be like, for instance, this one is like a, I don't know, like a black, brown, where these are copper. It's like that on every single device. And if you forget, here's another little tip, right? So if you're looking at this, you see where this is? If you have your travelers at the top, which you will, and like for this switch, for instance, you can't really tell, and you can't, let's say you can't see the common. Well, you always know that if your travelers, if you're holding the switch like this, and you have two screws at the top, these are your travelers. This is your common. When I first started, we always called it the point. You bring your power to the point, and the point will take it, it'll point to the light. That's the way I was taught. I don't teach that anymore because it doesn't say that on the back of the switch. But that's the way I was taught. So, but it's common. Your common is always on the bottom. Proof positive right here. Okay? So let's go ahead, get our wire from here to here. We are going to be working with 14 gauge wire, 15 amp breaker. Let's go ahead and start. Can you guys hear that? What sounds like bees in the background? That's the wind whipping where I'm at. I'm in my, obviously in my classroom area, but so we're going to start. First thing you need is a Romex connector. Now obviously some Romex. So keep in mind that when you go to buy a Romex, 14.2 is white, 14.3 is blue. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this Romex connector inside this panel. I'm going to show you how to do this. Make sure the panel is dead, which I already know it is because it's locked out. It's got a lock right on it. But if you're not sure, use a meter. Use a tick tracer. Okay? Let's go ahead, put this connector in. I'm going to show you how to do it. Don't do it the wrong way. Some people do it the wrong way and it's not right. So let me show you exactly how to put this in so you know. All right, so let's keep in mind a couple things. First of all, this panel is just a trainer panel. So there's a lot of holes knocked out. Yours should never look like this, okay? You should have your plugs in here, or you should have some fillers in here if you have them all knocked out, because that is not good to have all these open holes, because you have critters can get up in here, so on and so forth. All right, so we're going to take our connector. This is a lock nut. This is a Romex connector. All right, this is just a 1/2-inch Romex connector. We're going to put it on the bottom side of the panel. Now, I realize that sometimes if your panel's not open, you won't have this option, but you want to put it on the bottom side of this panel. Take your lock nut, put it on in here, and tighten it down. And I'll show you what it looks like from this down here view. All right, do you see how I have the screws, how they're facing out? If you have them turned any which way, like this one, for instance, is turned, you may or may not be able to tighten it up, but you want to make sure that you have them turned out this way. We want to tighten this lock nut up with a pair of linesmans or a lock nut pliers of some sort. We want to make sure the thing is very tight, so I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick, and then we'll get the 14.2 into the panel. All right, if you've not watched my video on this bulbous Klein screwdriver, it's a good idea to do. I'm going to go ahead and loosen the connector up while I'm doing this. You don't really need to see all that, but just know that. All right, so now I got it loose. We're going to run this Romex. Like I said, 14.2 is going to come in. Now, you will have numerous people tell you numerous things. I'm going to tell you what I do. Take it and do what you want with it. But I do not like to be short on my Romex. So anytime that I'm pulling into a panel, I will pull the Romex all the way to the top of the panel. Now, you are going to have some, right, cutoff because you don't need to be up here. But never have I been short since I started doing this, because it's very terrible to pull your Romex into the panel only to realize you can't reach either your grounds or your neutrals, and that becomes an issue, and then you're in trouble. So you want to make sure that you have enough, and I'm going to roll this Romex out real quick and show you, but you want to have enough to come into your panel. You want to form your panel nicely and then come all the way to the top. Now, you might say, well, that's a lot of waste, like I just mentioned. However, what you cut off, if you save these little pieces, if you're wiring a house, you have pigtails already made up. Well, already cut. So now you have them to make up. You don't have to go find a bunch of pigtails. Put them in a box. That's what I do. Carry them around, put the receptacles, switches, whatever. Okay? You're not wasting really anything. You're actually helping yourself out later down the road. So what we like to do, we always like to make the dead end up first. So what we'll do is we'll pull the wire in the panel, get it up here, pull it to our first box, pull the 14-3 to the next box, and we'll pull our loop up to our light box. We're going to work backwards. That way, for whatever reason, if anybody ever was to turn the circuit on, we don't have a live circuit anywhere in here. The only place we'd have it is right here, if potentially it came hot, but it's not going to be hooked up. So you always work from what I call the dead end, which is here, because this is the last spot, right? This is literally the last spot. You're going to put a light here, you're going to put a wire here, and then a wire here. So you always want to work backwards, so there's no chance that there's no power going to you. So let's go ahead and take this wire out, put it in here, tighten it down, go to box to box. We'll talk about each wire individually, and then start making it up. Normally, I would take the wire, since we're not going very far, and I would roll it out so it's very straight. But as you see, we're not very far here. So if we were, we would roll all this wire out or put it on a spinner, and we'd have a nice, because you want your Romex to be flat, not all coiled up. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the wire, we're going to put it through our holes. Now, if you've not watched the video of where to put, when you're drilling on the studs, where to drill your holes on the studs, definitely watch that video. It'll tell you exactly where to drill your holes by code, because that is super, super, super important. And I emphasize the word super because if you don't put it right, you're going to be in trouble. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to get it out here, and we know that's about where we want to be. So let's go ahead, we'll put it in to our Romex connector. We'll make sure we have enough. So we want to make sure that we have maybe a little bit more. All right, that's about right. We're at the top of the panel now. I know you really can't see everything, but just trust me, it's there. It's all the way at the top, and I'm going to show you real quick, just so you can see. All right, here it is on the top. So now what we got to do is we got to go back down, and we have to hook up, tighten up our Romex connector. We might be out of focus somewhat, but I'm going to take this screwdriver right here, and I'm going to tighten this up so it stays in to my panel. We want this Romex to be flat in here. So if we have to hold it, it's no big deal, right? Because we want to make sure it's flat when we're tightening up. Nothing is worse than tightening up your Romex connector and have it spinning around because you didn't take the time to tighten your connector up. That's very terrible. Very, very terrible. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. So if my content so far has given you guys any value, please smash that thumbs up, guys. It does mean the world to me. Gets my videos out there. So if this panel was like it is right now, I would have some sort of a nail plate or a nail tree right here, and I would put my wire in it because there's going to be a lot of wires coming in here, and I don't really want to staple right here this close to the bottom of the panel, because technically if this was a real panel, you would have a whole bunch of wires coming up in here. Probably would never put it right here. I'm not saying you wouldn't. I'm just saying if you had a tree, and I'll leave a picture of a tree here what I'm talking about, so you can see, you can put it all right here. That way it's stapled or technically secure, and you can keep on rolling with your wire. So let's go ahead and put it up in the box. What we want to do is we want to make sure that the wire looks nice, so we'll pull it. Like I said, I like to roll the wire out, but we weren't going very far, so technically I didn't do that. So I like to put the box, or the wire around the box like this, kind of see where it's going to end, which is right here, and then cut it right about there. That way I know, see how I went around the box? Because they're going to go inside this box. I mean, it's going to be a little extra, and that's okay. So let's go ahead and cut it with our linesmans. Get this wire out of the way. We'll put this, straighten this out, because we don't want a curly Q wire. We'll put it into the bottom, and we will make sure that our wire looks nice. Right angles. So we want to come straight out here. We want to turn up, and go into our box, just like that. So if it's going downhill, which I can't step in front here to see, it looks like it may be all right. Maybe up a little bit, I don't know. And we'll put some staples in here. We'll do that right now, and I'll show you how it looks. We'll continue on. So before we staple this wire, what we want to do, we want to make sure that we can get a 14-3 out of this box. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the length I cut here. Once again, you can keep whatever you cut for a box, or in a box, for a device, pigtail, or whatever. You never want to just throw wires away, because regardless, you can use it somewhere. So let's go ahead and we'll put our 14-3 in, and I'll show you how to do that. Now 14-3, like I mentioned, guys, is blue. So when we put it in, same way. We know that we have a hole right here. So we're going to come in here. We're going to go through this hole. We're going to go up into our box. And if you remember how I told you, put your hand up against the box, put your thumb out, and that's where you want to end it. So I will take this wire now that I got it in, and I will bend it over. That way it will not come back out. So it's locked in there. We're going to take this wire here. We'll make sure we can staple it here nice. We're going to put it here, and we'll put it around the box, and we're going to cut it right here. That way I know when I put it in the box, I got plenty. All right, so I'm going to put this one in. Like so. Pull it up. Boom. Now they're exactly the same length. Now what I want to do is I want to fold these together. So I want to push this up against this 2x4. And I want to put this one, this 14-2. So you got 14-3, 14-2. I want to make sure that it looks nice here. And I want to put them together. So I'm going to go ahead and put my staple on. Like so. Do as I say, not as I do. Don't use these. But I'm going to use them for this video purpose. Do as I say, not as I do. I want to hold the wires together. Okay. And if you don't know how to staple, I got a video exactly how much to staple. We want to make sure everything looks good, and it does. Put another staple on. We're not talking about code here, but I'm going to tell you that with these boxes, you have to be within 8 inches of your box. And that is because there's no internal clamp here. So we'll go ahead and put this on. So now we have our 14-2 run, which is the white. We have our 14-3 run between the two boxes, which is our travelers and our neutral. We got to carry the neutral over. And we'll talk about that. We didn't really mention that, but we will talk about that. So right now I got the travelers over here and the neutral over here. So now I got my 14-2 from the panel, which is bringing it in, and this box will be taken out to the light. All right, first things first, you gotta love the fact that I'm recording, because different day, as you can probably tell. Hair's a little cleaner, no hat. All right, so back where we started from, we're gonna take a 14-2 wire straight up from here to there. This is your switch leg. So let's get the terminology correct. Line in, power in, and it's on your 14-2. On your 14-3, we have the travelers. We're carrying that power over to your other box. Now, this box could be here, or it could be 50 feet away, or 75, or whatever. And then from this box, we're going straight up to our light box with the 14.2. Then we're going to talk about how we put it all together to make it all work. So let's go ahead and we'll take a 14.2 from this box right up to our light box. I already have one pre-cut, isn't that nice? Joys of recording. Did I already mention that once? So we're going to go ahead and stick it in here. We want at least 6 inches out. So I'm going to leave a little bit more of this go around because I have extra wire. This is just a scrap piece. So we're going to put it in. We're going to put this into our box. And then we are going to staple. All right, so the same thing goes. We want to go ahead and we want to put a staple in it. Now I've already got this first staple in here. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to be standing right in front of this camera, but I'm going to go ahead and put this staple in. Do as I say, not as I do. Do not use your Kleins. Put staples in. Remember what I said. If you don't know how to staple, watch that video. All right, so with these both now stapled, we have all of our wires in place. Now, like I mentioned before, we want to start in the dead end part of this. So we're going to start here with the light. Now, for this video purpose, you can have whatever light you want here. So let's go ahead and strip this out, and I'll show you how to hook this up. I want you to listen to everything I say because a lot of this stuff is important when I'm talking, because this, a lot of people do, a lot of electricians especially, I don't know why, but they get in their mind that if they're just putting a keyless fixture up or whatever, that they don't need the ground, they just cut it off. Stupidest thing I've ever seen. I hate to go to a box when I see a piece of Romex in there, the ground's missing. You can see it in there because they cut it off. We're not doing that. We are going to strip this out, so I'm going to pull you a little closer so you can see. Pull it out, get our wires correct, the correct length. I'll show you what to do with that ground wire because obviously in our keyless fixture, we do not have a place for our ground. So I'm going to show you what to do with it. Even if you're not using a keyless fixture, you're using any other light that doesn't require ground, don't cut it off. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to not cut our fingers. We're going to cut or score our wire. Now, there is a code. I'm going to just kind of tell you what it is. You need at least a 1/4 inch sheathing inside of your box. Now, this white jacket is the sheathing. So I'm going to leave this much right here. I'm going to just go ahead and put my knife away now. Well, I'm going to put it over here for now. Get it out of my hand so I don't cut myself. We're going to take the paper off. All the paper. What we're left with is the neutral, our hot wire, and our ground. Here's something else I see a lot of. I see a lot of this, just pushing the wire into the box and leaving it. Now, that's not how I do it. I like to put a wire nut on the end of this. And you're probably saying, well, what does it matter? Because I've had a lot of my students say, you're putting a wire nut there, but the whole wire there's no insulation on it. So what does it matter if you put it here or not? Well, 2 reasons. First of all, the end of this thing can go anywhere it wants to. So if you go to move it around, it could pop right up against the hot and then you're in trouble. But my main reason is you stick it on here just so it stays on. You put it in here, and then if you ever change this light out, ever down the road, what you have here, the wire nut already. You don't have to go back to your van or your car or your drawer full of whatever. You already have your wire nut there waiting on you. So it's there. You saved yourself a step. Now what you got to do is you got to take these wires, cut them to the length. So we'll put our hand out here, right at the end of my thumb. We're going to cut them right there at the end. And we're going to just cut them. Now, that's the correct length we need. We're going to strip these out, put our hooks on, put our light on, and we'll keep on rolling. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put our hooks on. Use our linesmans here. Now, what we have is we have 2 hooks, and what we need to do is the silver always goes to the white, black to gold. So we'll go ahead and we'll put this one down. We have no ground on here, so this is the order we have to do it in. Now, forgive me for using very old stuff, but this is, my classroom, so a lot of this stuff is really used a whole lot.
So not in the best shape, but it is in a usable shape. So we're gonna put this one on here. So we got the hooks going clockwise, remember, because that is the way it needs to be on there. All right, so now we have our light made up. Now I'm not putting this in the box so you can see. I'll put a bulb in here very shortly. Now we're gonna go down to our switch box and we're going to hook them up. All right, let's go ahead and cut this to length. So we'll go ahead and we'll cut it right about here. And we'll get our handy dandy awesome Klein knife. We'll stick our knife in here. We'll score the insulation. We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna put our blade inside up against the insulation just like this. As you can see, it matches. We're just gonna slice it down like that, boom. All right, we'll do the same thing with our blue wire here. Go right down the middle because that's where the ground is laying. Get our insulation off, or our jacket off, I mean. Do the same thing, we'll put our knife in. Take the paper off and put my knife down so we don't get cut. All right, what we are left with is the individual conductors now. Now what we gotta do is we're gonna do this in the same order I always tell you. Grounds, neutrals, and then hots. So let's go ahead and get our wires out of the way. So we'll put these down here. They're completely out of the way. We're gonna get our black and our neutral for our switch leg up here. What we wanna do is we wanna take our wires and we wanna twist them together. Now there's two ways you can do this. We're gonna do this the way that if you don't have a green wire nut, how do you do this? This is a huge mistake that a lot of electricians, even myself, did for years and years and years. I would simply twist these together and then cut them off. This part still has to be 6 inches, guys, when you put your pigtail on here. And unfortunately, I remember years doing this. I would just cut them off short and then twist my wires on. Big no-no. I never got busted, but once I realized the code and how to interpret it and how to actually do it the correct way, I never have done it wrong since. So don't make that same mistake, guys. This part right here still has to be 6 inches. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna put this extra wire here and I'm gonna just twist it in here along with my other wires. Now I know the shortest wire here, from back to here is 6 inches, so I can cut that off when I'm ready. I can cut these two long pieces off. One of them is this piece I just put on. The other piece is the other longer piece to one of the, either the travelers or the switch leg. All right, with this being done, I'm gonna push these in here into the box. Now, this is the way you should do it because first on is the ground, the last off is the ground. So you put this in here, push your wire back into your box, and you leave your ground sticking out. Now, when I'm done with this one, I just put it down here in the bottom. Next will be my neutrals. Now, this neutral is being carried all the way from the panel. Still have to be the 6 inches. So we'll go ahead and cut this off. Forgive me for not having a pair of strippers with me, but I don't. So we are gonna use our linesman's do as I say, not as I do. And these Knipex, when I first started using these, were excellent at stripping wires. Not so much now. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of them, but I am gonna use them for this video and probably many other videos, but they're not my favorite by far. All right, so with having the neutral done, we'll do the same thing. We will put the wire nut on and we will push the wires back into the box. Now what you're left with is you got your ground, no neutral because the neutral doesn't go anywhere. It just goes from the panel through each box and up to your light. So now what you have You have your switch leg here. What I like to do, so I don't never get confused, and you can do however you want to. If I forget, I can look for this little curly cue, and I know that that's my switch leg. These are your travelers. This is what's bringing your hot over from your other switch. So now, travelers, my switch leg, and my ground. Remember, the common screw either goes to the hot or it goes to your switch leg. That's the only two places it goes. So this one will go on my common, these two will go on the travelers, and this one obviously will go on the green for the ground. All right, let's move over to this box, strip it out, and this box I'll take you in and I'll show you exactly what it looks like, and you can peek over here and you can look in this box and see what it looks like too. So now what I got here is, this is the hot, and this is your travelers. They go between the two boxes. So we'll go ahead and do the same thing. We'll go ahead and we'll strip this out. So it'd be so much easier if I had like meta glasses or something. Go ahead and strip this out, and while we're here, we'll just strip this out also. You want to try to stay in the middle of your Romex, because that, as I say that, I don't go, that is where your ground is, and you will have a less likely chance of scarring up your wire. Now, you see what I have here? This is what I'm talking about with the insulation. So let me get a light on this situation so you can see here. As you see right here, I'm just gonna take my knife on this insulation right here and then cut it. Actually, I'm gonna hold it on there and kind of move the jacket, because my knife is plenty sharp enough and it will cut right through. So watch this. So now I have about a 1/4 inch insulation in there, and that's, well, actually a little bit more, but that's okay. Because you can have more, you just can't have any less, right? All right, let's go ahead and do the same with the travelers. Get them out of the way. All right, now with them all stripped out, all we got to do now is take the paper off. Now we know that this is the hot. This 14.2 here is the hot. So we're going to take these two black and white and we're going to put them over here. Then we're going to take our black, red, and white and we're going to stick it here. And what we're left with is just our grounds. And once again, we're going to tie these together. Now I'm going to show you. So we'll go ahead and we'll twist these up. Put a little twist on them here. Now with this one, I'm going to use a green wire nut so I can show you what a green wire nut looks like. So that wire's being plenty long, right? Because we're right here. You can see where I cut it at right there. All you do with this is a green wire nut. It's got a hole in the middle of it. And what you do is you take your wire and you slide it over top. You put it on. Now this is very, very nice. I'll leave links to this down below. Like I said, you go to the Amazon store, you can check it out. An affiliate could make some money on it. And all you gotta do is push this back in here. Now, I'm gonna tell you straight up right now, I've had comments before, because like I said, I do have another channel where somebody says, oh, you make an ugly box up. Well, you know what? That's a really good looking box. There's not open for debate for me, because I've done many of these with no issues. And it is what it is. If you don't like it, I'm sorry, but that's my box. So neutrals, we're gonna cut them. We know that's the right length. Bada boom, bada bing. Not too bad on that one. Here we go. All right, this one, all we gotta do is twist together, because we're bringing the neutral from the panel into this box, over to this box, and then back up to the light. Now, all we gotta do with this wire is put a wire nut on. And keep in mind when I mention about my boxes being ugly or whatever, here's the thing. If I was standing right in front of this without a camera on me, it would be a lot better. But obviously, since I'm standing here, it's very hard to do the video and everything. All right, what we have left now is we have the hot, and you can put a curly cue on here. It doesn't necessarily mean that's 100% switch. It means something. So I know in these two boxes right here that this one right here is going to my common, This one over here is going to my common. These are my travelers. Now, as I told you before on the switches, put your grounds on first. Here's your travelers. This will go on the common screw. So let's go ahead and get a switch and put it on. We're gonna start with the ground first, since I already have it ready to go. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna cut it to length. It's just obviously too long. We'll go ahead and cut it. We'll make our hook. We'll go ahead and do the same with this and this. We'll make all our hooks. Now we know that, like I said, this one right here is our common. So we'll go ahead and put a hook on it, put it out of the way, and these two will be on the travelers. All right, one switch at a time, guys. We'll go ahead and we'll put our grounds on. So the grounds will go right here to this. They go clockwise. See? See how I have it right here? See how that hook goes? Because as I'm turning my screw, I want this piece of the wire to keep turning around, not unraveling. I want it to tighten up. So we'll put this on, tighten it down. Now, this side over here, since I already have it up, I know that's a traveler side because this side over here has got a dark screw. So I'm gonna go ahead and put, now this is the way I do it. No rhyme or reason, it's just the way I do it. I always put the odd color with the single screw. So once again, I'm turning clockwise, so I want my wire to be on there like that. Tighten it up. We'll tighten it. We'll flip our switch over. We know that this right here is the common. If we forget, all we gotta do is look on the back, plus I can see the color. I'm gonna put this here on the top, because that is my other traveler. We're gonna tighten this up. All right, we'll take our hot wire and we'll put it right on the common. Once again, we want the hook facing that way, because I'm going clockwise. So put it right on, let it go, tighten it up. And that switch is done, guys. I'm not putting it back in here, plus I have no screws right now on these. So we're just gonna put it here, like so, and we're gonna make sure that when it's ready to go, it's still clear, and we can turn it, and we can use it, and make sure that that light indeed works. Let's go ahead and make this one up now. All right, if you're struggling with how to make hooks, and you don't have a pair of strippers, like right now I don't have, all you gotta do is put them in your linesman's. So you want a little bit of the wire, about that much in there. I guess we can see that on the camera pretty good. It looks like it can. And then we're gonna wrap it around the jaws of this. So it looks like that. It's hard to show you on the camera, but so it looks like that. You wanna just kind of follow the jaw. And that's all you need to do. I'm gonna go ahead and put the hooks on these. We know that this is my switch up here. These are my travelers. If you ever get confused, all you gotta do is look in the box and you can kind of see what you got, right? Because, I mean, it makes sense. They're in the box. A lot of people forget that. They're like, well, I don't know which is which. Well, all you gotta do is just, like I said, look in the box. All right, go ahead and put the switch on. I'm just gonna put this on real quick with very minimal talking. It's exactly the same thing. We want to go clockwise with our screws and our wires. We'll put the odd wire out. All right, last wire. This is the common screw. It goes straight up to our light. So we'll go ahead and we will put this in here. All right, switches are done. Now we got to make to the panel. All right, so we're using 14 gauge wire. So we have to use a 15 amp breaker. So I have a few in here we're gonna use. In the meantime, I gotta strip this out. Go ahead and strip it out. We'll go and hook it up, and I will show you how and where to put that. Same goes for here. We want a 1/4 of an inch insulation inside of this panel box. This is a good opportunity to show you how I do it when I cut the insulation right here. What I do, this is the same thing I do in a box. I take the blade, I just lay it right here on the jacket, not on the wires, but on the jacket, and I just kind of push, and it comes right off. Now, obviously my blade is extremely sharp. Even if it's not, if you got just a little edge at all, it'll pull right off, so you don't have to worry about it. All right, and since I got a knife in here, I'll use this. Now this panel is completely dead. Like I mentioned, it is locked out, and I know for a fact it's dead. I've checked it many times, so I know we're good. We're gonna start once again with the ground. Now this is another important thing. You wanna follow your panel around. You don't wanna have it all looking all weird and stuff like that. You wanna follow the contours of your panel and go up into your whatever. Now I'm gonna back the camera up a little bit so you can see, but this is how it should look when it's in your panel. So you see how I followed the contours here, and I went to the end, and I came up, and I'm gonna go into the bar right here. And all I gotta do is just turn the 90, like so. Go to the edge of my bar, mark it, and I'm gonna cut it. Now, obviously, if I was making this panel for real, there was a bunch of circuits in here, I'd go to the top, work my way down, or vice versa, go to the bottom, work my way up. But, you know, this is just one circuit. So I'm just doing right here. And we might have to bend it a little bit, and that's all right, guys. All right, there we go. That'll look good. I gotta put it on this lug right here. I started out with the bulbous screwdriver and went to the insulated one. Either way. All right, so we'll put it in. Tighten it up. It's important to keep your neutrals and your grounds on the right side, whatever side that is for you. That's where you need to keep it at. Now you see how that looks? It looks very nice. It comes in, goes up, and 90 is in. So everything looks very neat. Same with the neutral. We'll take it over. We will go down, follow it up. I'm just going to go down here low, just so you can get the picture. I can do it better on my right side because I'm right-handed. But you see, this is how you do it. So obviously you wouldn't be putting your hand in there if this panel was hot, but you want to mark on the back side of this neutral bar, and then you can cut it right there, and it'll go right in, and you just tighten it up. Same with that. And last but not least, we need a breaker. And we're going to put it right about here, so it stays in frame, and we can make it look like something. All right, so all you gotta do with this is if you come to the front side of your breaker, which is not the front side, but right here to the edge, right where the end of my screwdriver's touching, if you mark the wire right there, it'll go right in your breaker and everything will be perfect. So we'll go ahead and we'll say it's right about there. We'll cut it, strip it, put it in. And just like that, it's ready to turn on and test. Just like that. We'll get our tools out of the panel, turn it on, put a bulb in, let's go. All right, what you can see up there, I've got a switch, and what that does, I turn the power on to each of these panels. When that light is on, that means this panel's hot. So let me show you what it looks like. There's a bunch of these panels, and we had to come in here and we just wired them up. That way, if we ever have to move these panels, all we can do is take us out. We got a piece of MC in here. Yada, yada, yada. So we're gonna go ahead and turn this on. We need a bulb. All right, so with the power on, we're gonna turn our breaker on and we'll see what happens. All right, so the light is off now. Hopefully when we turn the switch on, it will illuminate. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And when I touch this one, it should go off. And then this one should turn back on. And this one should go back off, and it does. So we are correct with our wiring. And that's basically all it is to wiring a three-way. All right, and that's all there is to the wiring, guys. Super easy, step by step. Like I mentioned, this is the longest video, I believe, or maybe the second longest video on my channel. Leave me a thumbs up if this has given you guys any value, because it does mean the world to me, guys. It really does. It does help my channel. The next video series will be how to fix the three-way, that if you've ever been in somebody's house, right, and you flip it on, light comes on, you walk all the way over, you flip it off, it goes off, but then you go to the other side and you flip it on and nothing happens. I'm gonna show you how to fix that. Two ways, so keep in mind that video will be coming up probably in the next couple weeks or so. So you be on the lookout for that. Subscribe, guys, so you do not miss any of my videos when they come up. If you want to see how to make the perfect wire splice, check right here in the corner. When that video comes up, click in it. I will see you in that video. It is literally the best video how to make a wire splice, hands down. You'll learn so much on that video. Guys, if you like what you see here, make sure you do like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Have a great day.